I have bought some IELTS exam, and now I will read the examination on the structure of IELTS. Here, there are so many things that I need to learn. So I have done reading and all the instructor until the page 40. Yeah. So there are more than 20 pages for me to before I do some test. Yeah. Maybe some days I will do it. Do you hear any karaoke that everyone singing outside? I think you can, because my room is really loud because of them. So noisy. So let's talk about our topic, that is how does computer work. Let's start. Do you remember when you first realized that your computer was more than just a monitor and keyboard? That between the mouse click and the video playing, there was something that captures your intention, understood it, and make it real? What is that something? Is it gremlins? Let's imagine that we can scroll down to the side of an electron and inject ourselves into a click of a mouse. If you took your mouse apart, you will see that it's really a very simple machine. It has a couple buttons and a system for detecting motion and distance. You might have an optical mouse that makes these measurements with lights and sensor, but older ones did it with a hard rubber band and some plastic wheels. Same concept. When you click the button on your mouse, it sends a message to the computer with information about its position. When your mouse click is received, it's handled by the basic input and output subsystem. This subsystem acts like the eye and ears and mouth and hands for the computer. Basically, it provides a way for the computer to interact with its environment. But it also acts like a buffer to keep the CPU from being overwhelmed by distractions. In this case, the I&O subsystem decides that your mouse click is pretty important, so it generates an interrupt to the CPU. The CPU, or Central Processing Unit, is the brains of the whole computer. Just like your brain doesn't light up your whole body, the CPU doesn't take up the whole computer, but it runs the show all the same. And the CPU's job, its whole job, is fetching instructions from memories and executing them. So while you are typing, maybe really fast, like 60 words a minute, the CPU is fetching and executing billions of instructions in a second. Yes, billions every second. Instruction to move your mouse around on the screen, to run that clock widget on your desktop, play your internet radio, manage the files you are editing on the hard drive, and much more. Your computer's CPU is one heck of a multitasker. But oh my gosh, there's a very important mouse click coming through now. Let's drop everything now and deal with that. There are programs for everything that the CPU does. A special program for the mouse, for the clock widgets, for the internet radio, and for dealing with letters sent by the keyboard. Each program was entirely written by a human in a human readable programming language, like Java, C++, or Python. But human programs take up a lot of space and contain a lot of unnecessary information to a computer. So they are compiled and made smaller and stored in bits of ones and zeros in memories. The CPU realized that it needs instructions for how to deal with this mouse click. So it looks up the address for the mouse program and sends a request to the memory subsystem for instructions stored there. Each instruction in the mouse device driver is duly fetched and is executed. And that's not really the end of the story, because the CPU learns that the mouse was clicked when the cursor was over a picture of a button over the monitor screen. And so the CPU adds memories for the monitor program to find out what that button is, and then the CPU has to add memory for the program or for the button, which means that the CPU needs the monitor program again to show the video associated with the button. And so it goes. And let's just say there are a lot of programs involved before you even see a button on the screen, like when you click it. So just a simple task of clicking your mouse means visiting all of the critical components of your computer's architecture, peripherals, the basic input and output system, the CPU, programs and memories, and not one gremlin. That's all. I think I did really well, and just a small mistake in my pronunciation. Yep, that's all. What also say about this day? I have spent my whole time for my family and studying in the IELTS instruction, so feel really good. I have done something meaningful in my life. Yeah, that's all. So end this vlog.